So a couple days ago, I talked about how I really have come I've always enjoyed the Tau. I've always liked them, and I like the innovation, and I think they're just kind of an overhated faction because the general fandom says you have to hate them, and because memes say so. Now I know not everyone's like that, but it does feel like a lot of it does come from a lot of meme hatred. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of it just kind of feels like that. But here's the other thing: is that we haven't really had since Arcs of Omen, and even then, that was just focusing on Farsight. We haven't really had a Tau-centric campaign in forever. So I thought it would be kind of a fun idea for maybe pitch for 11th edition a Tau-centric campaign that we can use. Now, the big problem is with a lot of why the Tau don't get a lot is because the Tau are their empire is in the Eastern Galaxy. It's only like 30, 40 planets, give or take. So that this campaign would more or less this would be the major point, is that this would put the Tau on more of a galactic stage so they can be part of other events, not just be kind of mentioned here and there. Like that's what the core of what my idea for this Tau campaign would be, is that, hey, we're going to focus on, putting the Tau so actual Tau players and also the lore can kind of expand a bit more. So what's going on right now, from what we remember from Pariah Nexus, and this is going to tie into, is that the Necrons have kind of parked themselves in Tau space, and the Necrons are they're kind of not great neighbors to have for the Tau. So the Tau are dealing with that, as well as the Tyranids who keep crawling up their butt from that side of the galaxy. So the Tau are really at war with the Necrons and the Tyranids. Now, here's where we get interesting, is that basically for this campaign, is that the Tau, after defeating a Necron fleet, they managed to recover the Necron ship. Now, keep in mind, Necron technology is incredibly advanced, even more advanced than Tau technology now. But the thing of it is that the Tau engineers, they basically get to a point where they're just kind of like they're like tinkering with it, and what they do discover is that the ship's engine, the ship's engines can be almost like reverse engineered for their ships. So they basically take a version of the Necron like space cutting technology. I know it's called something else, but yeah, the basically to be able to cut through space without needing the warp, add it to their own engines, and now begin the third spherical expansion. The last time they tried this, it led to the Damocles Crusade. So what actually happens is the Ethereals think now with these new engines, they can basically now expand into other major territories. They can basically move further into without the limitations that they have. They can slip past the Imperium. They can actually reach out and spread the word of the greater good to other worlds. That's the idea right now. And that's the working idea, is that the Tau can now expand into areas without being seen by the Imperium. And yeah, they can now, their fleets can now go around without having to be on the doorstep of like the Ultramar system. So that's the crux of the campaign, is that the Tau are now moving fleets across the galaxy unperturbed by without the risk of running into Imperial or Orc-Wa or a Tyranid fleet. Or even the Necrons again. They basically are now like, you have to deal with multiple traveling fleets that almost act like missionary groups that are like, they're all in these they're all like expanding. They're going the Tau are going full Federation here, where the Tau are basically seeking out new forms of life and new civilizations to boldly go in the name of the greater good and add some new, and basically build other little empires and little colonies throughout the galaxy. So that's the idea, is now you have open fleet, fleets led by maybe an Ethereal, maybe by a high-ranking officer in the Tau Empire, and they're now like able to go out rather than just be stuck in that little spot. And now you have the opportunity to basically set up Tau colony worlds in other parts of the galaxy. You know, they would take a page out of the Imperium where they're like, hey, the Imperium, the humans, the Guivesa, they basically have little pocket empires inside their world, like all these systems. So why don't we do that instead of having interconnecting worlds? So that's their train of thought, is that they are more or less making these colonies, and the Damocles sector is like Tau Prime. Like, everyone answers to that while they're setting up these colonies within Lost Imperial worlds, or, you know, setting up with and this could also give you in-game, like I'm going to talk about this right now, is that this also gives you the opportunity in-game to give them new forces. Like, you could have lore-wise that through the third spherical expansion, that basically the Tau encountered other races to join them. So you could have new alien forces that could fill needs for the Tau in the game itself. So more melee soldiers. You could have like a new alien race they encountered that could help, you know, supply the crew. You could also do, you know, heavier support system that isn't just artillery. You could have a new alien race in here that could act as like the version of like the Dreadnought or the Terminator squads. Yeah, I think it's a win-win, both lore-wise and, you know, tabletop-wise. I think that would be, you know, I think the Tau are missing some things on tabletop, and again, they are doing nothing. I know it's fun to hate on the communist fish people. It's all fun and games, but I feel like this would be a good way to expand them as characters and let them be part of the grander stage again. It would be now that you can have them battling chaos more. I know they were dealing with the Death Guard for a bit after during the events of Plague War. Some Plague Marines were like, "Hey, those blow people aren't sick. Let's get them." So that's my idea. Like, that would be a fun idea. You now have the ability to give the Tau to be on the grander stage of the galaxy, and on tabletop you can add new units that fill holes for the tabletop army. Yeah. This also would give them you can also give them an alien race to have that act as like the Titan. I know they have the gunships and whatever, and the suits, but none of them really class as something to go up against. I know they have the Tiger Sharks as well, but what I mean is you can actually have like something like the Titans in the Imperium and the Wraith Knights for the Tau. And it can be, rather than another mech suit, it can be a race of giant aliens, and make them almost like the alien version of the giants from Age of Sigmar. It'd be kind of fun. Have a new alien race that are just giants, and they serve the Tau and the greater good. There you go. But anyway, you guys tell me in the comments below, what do you guys think of these ideas for a new Tau campaign? And also, what would you do for a new Tau campaign? Just comment below, let me know. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.